What is tokenism? Put simply, tokenism is a diversity hire. It's when companies will gather people from a small minority group to not to actually represent them to diverse, but to show the public that, hey, we as a company, look guys, we're diverse, which undermines genuine representation. In media, it's often used as a way for the companies to gain a following or fans from a certain minority group. Let's say if a certain movie or a film is going to get for people from a small minority group, they're going to appeal to that group, and that group will say, hey, look, I'm being represented in this media. Let's buy this game, or let's buy tickets to this movie to see myself get represented. Exhibit A, Overwatch. Does anyone know who Overwatch is? Not what Overwatch is? It's a class-based hero shooter with a set of diverse characters. And it's been under controversy lately because of one small thing. This character, Soldier 76. A few years ago, Blizzard, the developers of Overwatch, decided to make Soldier 76 a gay character. Now, Soldier 76, for backstory, is a very grizzled veteran army soldier character. He's basically an old man that tells you to get off his lawn every morning, and Blizzard made him gay. Why is this a problem? The problem doesn't lie in the fact that he's a gay character. The problem lies in the fact that out of nowhere, they decided to change his character traits. They didn't give any allusions to him being a LGBTQ character, no voice lines, no cutscenes, nothing related to the fact that he is the way he is. But one day they came out to us, told us that he is like this, and left. And that kind of leaves a taste in the mouth that, why did they do this? And most will say that, well, Blizzard, at the time, wanted more representation in the media because a lot of people were saying, oh, there's not many people that I can represent with. So they decided to make one of the beloved characters different. And it's not like Blizzard hasn't done unique characters before. Take a look at this. Lifeweaver, which came out a few years ago, he was a gay character, a gay Thai character. He was represented, but the reason he works is because there's actual allusions to him being different. Since he was introduced to the game, there's voice lines, there's cinematics, there's everything alludes to him being, well, gay. And Tracer, the poster girl of Overwatch, ever since the launch of the game, there were comics, voice lines, cutscenes, everything that alludes to her lesbian relationship. These characters work because they're not hollow shells of what these minorities should be, but they're actual characters being represented. There's a quote that I like to go by. It's a quote that I made myself, and I'm very proud of myself for making it, and that's to make the character different because of who they are, not to make the character who they are because they're different. Let me explain. Before you make a character unique and different, gay, black, yellow, red, or whatever, you need to, first of all, make them an actual character. Their uniqueness will come later in their character traits, but if their character traits is just because they're different, that doesn't make them a character. And me, myself, as an Asian, when I see Hollywood films, I would prefer if they made an actual character different instead of just making a regular character. Oh, look, I'm Asian. That's my entire personality. It's like if they made a popular character, let's say they made Peter Parker Asian. How that makes you feel? It will make the minorities also feel that, am I not special enough? Am I not normal enough or special enough to be included as an actual character, but made an already existing character into my character trait? And here's the reason. The reason Miles Morales, that we talked about earlier, works so well is because when he's introduced as him, they don't just tell us that Miles Morales, Black Spider-Man. No, they show us. It's a common case of show, don't tell. The LA teachers love this. He was shown, his culture was shown when, one, his mom was speaking Spanish right out the door. He was shown this neighborhood of all these people interacting with him. You can tell where his background is, where he comes from, his history, all the things that allude to Miles Morales being a black man living in New York City. And it shows his personality before everything. Kamala Khan from Ms. Marvel also does this very well when it shows Urdu letters on her necklace showing her Pakistani heritage. But what doesn't work is because in a few scenes later, she's talking to her friend and she's pointing out the exact fact that she's a Pakistani American living in New Jersey. Why does this work, whereas the line doesn't? This works because this is subtle. It shows us the differences. It shows us that she's unique, and this is where she comes from. It shows us the culture. Her pointing out in a line that she's Pakistani American doesn't work because you're pointing too much to the fact that she's, well, different. Don't straight up point to the fact that she's different. Don't tell us, show us how different she is. And it's not like Hollywood can't do diverse characters. Jon Stewart, Mitchell Pritchett, Static Shock, Judy Alvarez, Ellen Ripley, Jules Winfield, Everett Effiong, Sarah Connor, and Kimiko from The Boys, all vastly diverse characters and done well because they show us their differences. Now, if these diverse characters are one of the reasons that's making all our media go downhill, then who's making these decisions? Enter executive interference. A little backstory for this is when Sony butchered Spider-Man 4 in favor of the Amazing Spider-Man series. Backstory here is when, 2009, a man named Mark Webb, a director, made a film called 500 Days of Summer. And it's a very great film, a very good coming-of-age film that young adults really resonated with. And Sony saw that and said, you know what, Spider-Man 3 was a cinematic flop. Let's make 500 Days of Summer a young adult movie with Spider-Man. Now, these movies came out. The first one was okay. Second one flopped hard in theaters. Why is that? Because Sony, instead of making a genuine Spider-Man film, they decided to cater to what they thought people at the time would like, because they believed that if they catered to that specific audience, they'd get more money out of it. Another example is this. In 1989, Tim Burton made a series of Batman films of Batman and Batman Returns. And it was very good, well received. But the studio that oversaw this project thought that the gothic nature of Batman was getting too dark for audiences and decided, let's lighten it up a bit. They brought in Joel Schumacher to make Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. See, if you can notice, this very bright, flashy Batmobile with lights, it's completely turned away from what it was before. The reason for this is because business. Here's the structure. It's a Batman film, and kids love superheroes. Kids are going to go see this movie. And when kids go to see this movie, they're going to see a flashy Batmobile. They're going to tell their moms, Mom, I want this Batmobile. And if a kid wants something, they're going to make a toy of it. And the result, if they make this Batmobile super flashy, kids are going to want more toys of it. And the more toys they sell, the more money they get in return. Same with this. Because they wanted a more lighthearted tone, they decided to give Batman nipples. It's a Joel Schumacher thing. We still don't really know why he did it. But it's because, again, he had to conform to the tone that the studio wanted. And that's not just with movies. It happens with games as well. CD Projekt Red, the developers of Cyberpunk, were forced to push this game out at a time where it was a buggy mess. It was a mess of a game. It didn't work. It was very bad, essentially. The reason for this is because at the time of Cyberpunk's release, it was supposed to be delayed even more because the game was unfinished. But shareholders already put so much money into this game to the point that if it got delayed any further, they'd start losing money. And if shareholders lost money, they'd get mad at the execs. And the execs would then, in turn, also lose money because they might lose their jobs. So then execs will push the developers to, we need to stop delaying these games. We got to push them out, even though it's not done. Result, Cyberpunk was a mess at launch. And even though it did get updates and become a better game, it was still lost with all of its bugs and mess. And it was a bad game at launch, and that tarnished CD Projekt Red's reputation for years to come. Now, another thing that's overlooked a lot when we're talking about the decline of this industry is moth culture. I'm going to assume that a lot of people don't know what moth culture is. Simplified, moth culture is hype culture. It's when a group of people, a company or fans of the medium themselves, generate so much hype around one topic that it becomes talk of the town. Everyone's talking about it. When it comes to media, let's say a movie, if there's so much hype around a movie, everyone's going to buy tickets to see the film because they're going to be excited. Or a game, oh my God, this game's so hyped, guys. Let's buy this game and play it. One example that comes to mind is Morbius. The first movie to make 12 more billion bucks. Morbius came at a time where Spider-Man media was fresh. Everyone loved Spider-Man. And Sony, the execs working and creating Morbius, they strike again. They added Spider-Man to a poster in the trailer with the words murderer on it. That's going to get people thinking, wait, Spider-Man's a murderer? Why? We need to see this movie. Let's buy tickets and go see this movie. Spoiler alert, Spider-Man was not in the movie. He was not a murderer. They false advertised in the trailer so they can get more tickets, which in return gives them more money to put in their pockets. it's not like movies haven't done this type of editing before, where they put something in a trailer that's not in the actual film. But that's usually the case of they're removing something from the actual film, now putting in the trailer because of spoilers. This just straight up just false advertising. And they got what they needed. They got the money for the tickets, but what? Morbius is a horrible movie, and the reputation's been tarnished. And Sony XX, they're not losing anything in this, but the creatives working on the film, the ones writing it, the ones that were forced to conform to the exec decisions, they were forced to, well, have a tarnished reputation from this. And then there's Moon Knight. Has anyone watched Moon Knight on Disney Plus? Marvel show, one of the Marvel shows again. It's a great show for the most part, but then once you get to the emotional climax, the final fight of the series, the main characters, well, one character with the different personalities, he's losing this fight, and he's about to switch out to his third personality and meet the boss, and he doesn't actually. The fight is cut, and it skips the final part where he's only won the fight. And it doesn't even show the third personality in his body. They robbed us of an emotional climax to tease the second season of the show with this character. They advertised their second season in the first season of the show. This is a problem because now we don't even get to see our stories play out anymore, but instead we have to wait and see the second season. Even though if we're not interested in the show, we still need to see the second season to see how did this all happen. And moth culture is such a bad thing, it's such a problem now, that it's got a whole Twitter page dedicated to it. Look at this. Joker is going to have his kid in the second film, or Doctor Strange will have Spider-Man characters from old films. Venom 3 will have new characters. It's all based on cameos and a hype and spectacle. We are prioritizing spectacle over quality and integrity of a medium. This damages not only us, but also damages the industry, because now the industry is forced to put up with all these expectations for a film or for a game that when it doesn't reach expectations, fans are going to be mad and they're going to bomb these meetings. They're going to review bomb, they're going to not buy, they're going to boycott. One, they lose money. Secondly, we're left wanting more. And when we're left wanting more, we're most likely not going to get more because they're going to have to, our expectations are always going to rise while quality is always going to dip because of all these reasons combined to one. And as people, because we have to remember, we're the ones consuming this media, right? So at the end of the day, we're the ones that have to bear the consequences of this bad media. What should we do then? What we can do is take a stand against this. We can protest, we can put up posts, we can make content that is alluding to this and tell how it's making the entire industry look worse. We need to start talking out. We need to start speaking up about this, because if this keeps going, then we're not going to have any media to enjoy. But that's the entire point of media in the first place. It was created to entertain, so that we could forget our problems of life and delve into a world where these problems don't exist. So if we start talking up about this, we can actually make a difference. We can revert back to where creatives actually had creative control over the media. And with that, I urge all of you to start speaking up against corrupt media execs and let creatives actually work and write their own stories so that we, as consumers, can be entertained again without having to worry about all this money-making schemes of execs. Thank you very much.